Welcome to the podcast, everyone. Benben Show. It's Tuesday. It's like 5 o'clock. I was thinking today, I was at the gym and someone was ringing the door handle in the bathroom, and I was looking at the mirror and I saw that the door handle's lock was the other way. Don't ever look at the mirror when that happens to see that you make sure you lock the door, because the image will be inverted. So I thought it was open and that I was about to be walked in on doing my business. And I was just like, oh, stop. Oh, ugh, oh. It was locked. You don't want that to happen to you, so don't do it. Don't do it. I don't know, man. It's crazy. I think that people should not have to go to the gym during the normal business hours. I think people should, like, at work, as long as they're getting work done, provided that their work allows it, they should just, you want to go to the gym at like 1 o'clock in the middle of the day, do like a yoga thing 12 to 1, and then work the extra time. Do it. Like, for whatever, for your mental health, especially right now, if you do commute to work, there should be some sort of like, hey, you know, we don't really connect with people. So if that's a thing that you can do, just like brushing shoulders with someone walking through a door of a gym to go on the elliptical machine or whatever, we should allow that. You know, so much has changed in this country, and so much seems like it will stay the same as it is now. Like, this is the new normal. It's one thing I worry about. It's like, I'm not sure that this is normal is now like a distant word, especially if Biden becomes president. He's talking about, you know, I don't know, like the mask thing is not going to go away right away. It might even be a thing we do every year during flu season. Like a normal thing. If you don't wear a mask in general, you're a bad person. Or if you, I don't know, some guy from the WHO is saying how like COVID virus is, you know, nothing will be the same because we have to do more. COVID virus is evidence that we need to do more to stop global warming. And I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about? I don't like that correlation. One perpetuity leads into another finite problem. Because the guy went on to say that even with a vaccine, doesn't mean that we should stop wearing masks. That scared me too. I'm like, you know, we gotta, normalcy's nice. Like, how do small businesses survive? You know, this is like, we need to talk to each other. We need to connect with people. It seems like there's something more going on, like in terms of the threat level of COVID, the threat level to our society, to people interacting with each other, just to like socializing, almost seems like more severe given how much the mortality statistics have gone down recently. Right now, the most severe threat to COVID that COVID offers us is our response to COVID, which is isolating people from each other and a lack of, like, you know, socializing. Because, like, I don't know, we're not robots. We're not meant to do this. It's not, our society's not meant to be this way. And in Europe, it's a way different. Way different. As the mask stuff going on, it's in Italy and stuff like that. I mean, people that I know that are there right now enjoying the Mediterranean are not wearing masks on the beach. It's really different. I don't know. And I don't think that there's some great, I mean, CDC came out recently again and said not sure the masks are doing anything, but still wear them. Random cities have like rules still about like bars being open. So, like, I mean, it's like, how are you supposed to, like, imagine if you started a small business this year. It's so bad. There's so many people have lost money. One thing I wanted to say is, what is celebrities? You know, those little shorts where like celebrities promoting a movie with another celebrity and they read the internet's questions about them to each other. What if they actually read the real questions? You know, like Jude Law's like, oh, all right, here's a question. Hey Jude, why didn't you get a hair transplant when you sold the news? No, not going to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that. Let's move on to something else. Hey Jude, why did you cheat on? Nope, not going to do that. No, I'm not going to do it. Hey Jude, if you don't care about your hair, why do you keep hiding it? And I'm not gonna do that. It is true though, like a guy, like a leading man like that, I understand you want to change roles and move away from the pretty boy thing. Age will do that. Choices, makeup, you don't actually have to let your hair go. They can just make it look like, the fact that you don't care, it is inherently limiting in some ways, just because your social construct of selling yourself as a certain thing, when you're just walking down the road, Star magazine, stuff like that, it limits your kind of like star potential. Because like you can have no hair in movies you choose as a choice as an actor, but when you walk down the street and the paparazzi take a picture, you're not a pretty boy because there's these giant lack of hair going all the way back there. That's a problem, right? So, like why don't you just like keep your hair? Like that's kind of like part of being I don't know. Just saying. It's like he really wanted to like say, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm no more talented Mr. Ripley, pretty, sexy. No, I'm going to force the system to go by a different standard and version of me. And then I'm going to use my previous success as an actor and my innate ability to maintain a career, albeit down a different path. Not a leading man so much, not a pretty boy so much, but this more rugged, older, true actor. And he unfortunately, I think he's like typecast himself into, he actually has to age himself to play the Pope in that HBO show. Because it's like, he's not that old. Gaining a little weight on the tummy to look, it's just, it's frustrating. I don't know. Like Chris Brown. Is it true, Rihanna, you beat up Rihanna because she got herpes from Jay-Z? Oh, hell no, I'm not, fuck that shit. I'm not talking about that. Fuck that. Yes, it's true. Yes. But I'm not going to talk about that. Yes, it's true, though. That's why. Does that justify it? You tell me, motherfucker. You tell me why I have to have a Valtrex prescription right now because of that bitch. You know what I'm saying? I love her, but shit, man, she bitch was out of line. Just, I don't know. Like, it would be funny. It would be funny. It would be very, very funny. Maybe that wouldn't be inappropriate because he's a celebrity and it kind of suggests that it's okay to hit women. Of course, it's not okay to hit women. Not okay to hit anyone. That being said, I don't know. I think it's funny, the things that Hollywood does to kind of like justify their position on certain issues that are progressive, but the hypocritical nature that they still maintain, particularly like the sexualization of children. Like that movie Cuties, the director that came out with the justification for the movie sexualizes children. So it talks, it's like a mockumentary about like kind of like beauty pageants and like children that are sexualized young, like under 12 girls sexualized. Trying to say, well, no, this is actually designed to give, highlight this problem in our society, and that like, there is an issue of sexualization. It's like the complete opposite of what the movie actually does, and it makes it seem like it's some sort of statement. Kind of this sort of like dramatic irony. The director says like after the fact, oh, well, actually you misconstrued the whole point of the movie. Like, well, does seem like you're still objectifying children in the movie, and it's not a documentary. And so like, what's the deal? Are people supposed to see the irony of your statement, your social statement? Oh, this is designed to show that this is wrong, and that there's some people that, while this is good in some ways, people take advantage of it. Because Hollywood does it all the time. So many of their young starlets are sexualized all the time, boys and girls. The sexist thing about it is the boys seem to be sexualized way earlier, and no one talks about that as being as big of a deal. Almost like if a 15-year-old boy is sexually assaulted by his teacher, not considered as bad as if a 15-year-old girl is sexually assaulted by her 30-plus-year-old teacher. And it just objectively, society doesn't view it that way. I guess in some ways I don't view it that way. I'm sure a lot like that 15-year-old boy is just like high-fiving people like, you know it. I lay down the pipe, Miss Johnson, yeah, testing this Johnson motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Man, that was consensual. She doesn't go to jail, man. We're dating, man. That's my girl. It's my bottom bitch. Miss Johnson and me are tight. Taught me geometry. Dicked her down. Nah, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, it's just funny. I don't know why. I don't know why I went down with that accent. It was the Chris Brown thing. I just kept going. Sorry. Could have been like, no, actually, Miss Johnson and I are having a lovely relationship. It's You know, it's consensual. You know, we love each other, and I realize I'm young, and that she's older. But you know, after we vacationed together in Nice, we started to build a relationship. We went horseback riding in Antigua, and you know, it was just lovely. You know, all parents have talked, and yeah, they say it's fine. So I guess it's okay if the parents say it's fine. I think it's okay. I don't think the state can do anything if, like, in terms of statutory rape charges. I think that's the whole point. The parents have to agree, which is so weird because it's like, why do the parents have any like rights over the children in that way? You know what I mean? It's like, why is it that it's so weird how this is like the derivative, like, oh, you don't have the right to say anything. You know, when you were a baby and a fetus, you had no right to life. When you're under 16, under 18, 17, depending on the state, you have no right to just say anything about your wants and needs. It's very weird. In Canada, it's weird though that if you have transgender thoughts that your parents don't agree with, or gender dysphoria, and you want to transition, they don't want you to, you can actually be removed from the home by the state. That's one interesting thing. That might be progressive in a good way. It also seems dangerous in some other ways. I don't want to get into that, but I'm just saying, like, this is interesting. This like little things like that in terms of how we recognize people's wants and thoughts. Like infanticide at 13 months, that's murder. Infanticide. At 6 months, it's an abortion. Interesting. The original pro-choice movement was slave owners being asked if they want to keep their slaves. Not the slaves, whether they want to be slaves, but the slave owners. Just as the parent, the mother, is it okay if we, you know, if I abort this child? Of course it is. Your choice. Should we ask him? No, fuck him. We don't ask him. I don't know. It's fucked. I don't know why we go down on that tangent, but it is true. It's funny. It is funny how you go down that road, and then like someone might say something like about Planned Parenthood taking federal money, but then selling aborted fetus body parts. It's like, yeah, that's fucked up. Why don't you just make it simple? If you're going to take federal money, you can't make big profit off of aborted fetuses, like the parts that you sell. Like, you can't do that. I think that's fair compromise there. If that's what you want to do. Let's just make that. Let's just, you know, take both sides of the argument and split it down the middle. Yeah, don't sell aborted fetus parts on the market, whatever market that is. Who would want to be part? It's disgusting. God, it's like, you're just like, you graduate from college. Like, hey man, what do you do? Like, you know, I sell insurance. What do you do? I work on Wall Street. What do you do? I'm a lawyer. What do you do? Oh, I sell body parts from aborted fetuses. Oh, there's good money in that. Huge, man. Just bought a beach house. Good. Yeah, it's fucked up, man. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I'd like to go have a drink with people and talk with them. I'd like to have a meet cute. Not me, really, but I think a lot of people would. I you know, just to see someone eye fucking you out of the corner and just like, hello, what's your name? You know, isn't it funny how you meet people at a place and you don't know anything about them? You have a general attraction, you see each other from across the room, or you end up going after that person and you find out there's all these other things that you have in common that you find out 6 months later, 4 months later. Oh, there's that. It's like that you knew it. It's like it was there. Like all the superficial shit that you're attracted to. Oh, my mother has dark hair, so this girl has dark hair. Whatever features that I'm into, you know, boom. But then there's all these things that are similar that were like almost as if your conscious knew that in a way that you can subliminally you can't register on the conscious level. Can't do that right now because we can't go anywhere. And again, people look at you like a second-class citizen if you don't wear a mask. And there's this perception that you're doing a disservice to the greater good. All the while, COVID, you know, will still be with us. And now the CDC is saying, you know, with a vaccine, you still should wear a mask. I'm just so confused, man. It's scary. Like, no one says that's scary. It's scary. I could also see Joe Biden using the monies for extended unemployment to continue on as some sort of universal minimum wage going into next year. You get people doped up on this money, particularly conservative voters that are like, you need the money. You might convert them and start voting Democrat because you've got them on this like regime of they lost their jobs or their hours were cut severely. They need that federal substance, and that sustenance becomes a very liberal, totalitarian, socialist kind of dole. And essentially getting doped up on this like extra money, and it's like a brilliant way of like converting a large group of the voting populace into voting for you, just as like cutting funding for the police force to then rebuild them in the image that you want. Most of the police force votes conservatively, and I think that's interesting. It's another weird tactic of kind of manipulating sections of the voting populace. Oops. Knocked over my mineral water. But yeah, that's an important thing, I think, to talk about, is like the manipulation of voting. Like the U.S. Postal Service wasn't an issue, 6 weeks ago. Trump mentioned something about voter fraud through the mail, and then all of a sudden it became a huge issue, and there needs to be extra funding to the USPS. It wasn't an issue, a month ago. There was no, like, they lose money every year. They cost the taxpayer tons of money, like $15 billion a year, because they're in debt. They're losing to UPS and FedEx and all the private services. But then, in order to protect the election, all of a sudden, we have to give them like $25 billion immediately, right now, right before November. And we're in this weird society now where we can't, voting at voting booths might be discouraged because of COVID and social distancing. And the Democrats are the ones that say that's a good thing, we can vote from home here, and then Trump's denying that. On the other side, it's like, well, that encourages fraud, which Trump mentioned, which is why they suggested more money for the USPS to have these sorting machines to allow for more mail-in voting. And it's weird, 'cause it's like, there's two sides of an argument. One of them seems more pure, subjectively, like, I'm worried about fraud. Why don't we just make sure people can still go to the voting booths? It's like, and then the other side is like, well, that you're encouraging the spread of corona. That's wrong. That's not a responsible perspective right now, Mr. President. And why are you denying funds to the UPS that direly needs them? Well, why are the funds needed right at this very moment? And the idea, it's such a good position to take that the idea of going to the voting booths is dangerous to people's health and they should just mail it in. To take that position is perfectly fine. The problem is that there really is a chance of fraud. We've seen it before. And the argument that Trump's trying to manipulate the election by not giving the USPS monies that will encourage a system that can be manipulated and create mass voter fraud is interesting. And one of the key arguments against Trump's position is that, well, you are going to force people to, become in close contact with others during this crisis. That's interesting. It's very, very interesting. It's scary. Like, to think that that's the position. Like, if you're Trump, it's a hard position to take. It's a hard position for anyone to argue. The guy has had. That guy is, regardless of what your politics are, that dude has had it up. Like, people have just gone after him. I've never seen something like that before. He's up against it. Man. No one talks about the Russian investigation being a complete farce. No one talks about it. People constantly associate with him with the process crimes of people in his party, like Flynn and Manafort and now Bannon. Again, not related to his campaign, not related to his relationship, but people manipulating. Well, Bannon is a process crime if you commit fraud. That's fraud. But again, Trump's not benefiting. Flynn lied about meetings he had that just on paper created a process crime by lying under oath, not the charges against him. He was found not guilty of those. Lying under oath. That's it. Okay. Manafort, cheating on his taxes, hiding money, lying under oath. Again, nothing to do with Trump. It's like, there isn't this big conspiracy as a multi-billionaire to take a $400,000 a year job and somehow, like, based on hubris and arrogance, and so get away with it by working with the foreign power. It just didn't happen that way. No one cares. No one cares. No one cares about FBI agents pleading guilty to lying under oath, to condemn Trump and making up evidence. No one cares about that. Again, I just wish that everything was more balanced. I really do. The guy is taking it on the chin. I've never seen anything before in my life. I know I couldn't do that job if my life depended on it. I'm not sure some of our greatest presidents in recent years could do the job that he's done under the circumstances. It's overwhelming. Hello, little one. Little kitty cat. So, yeah, regardless of your politics, you want Biden and Kamala. Don't really care about her, history as a prosecutor and her work in California. It's just look into it yourself. I don't even want to talk about it. It's denying DNA testing. Again, I don't think anyone should ever deny DNA testing after the fact. Someone's been found guilty. They want, there's new evidence or new means to prove that they're innocent. You're like, oh, it's a waste of taxpayers' money. I think anytime you have that opportunity to take a filing after the fact, someone's in jail for the rest of their lives for rape or murder, and they found that that DNA testing is now available, you should offer that. Any new evidence should always be, to deny them that right to see the evidence based on some arbitrary amount of money. No, you shouldn't do that. You should always incorporate new evidence as it comes up. That's the democratic process. Biden seems like he's not running for president. It's just like his party is. It's like it's anti-Trump versus Trump. That's all it is. It's not Biden. And Biden and Kamala Harris are really not running. Damn, man, I feel bad for that guy. It's brutal. And then we're coming to a point in our society where ultimately you see Uber and Lyft, and you see how the employee sanctions in California require them to stop potentially offering services. That's temporary because they're going to have cars that drive themselves. Like in San Francisco, cabs that drive you around by yourself within the city limits. That's what's going to make them a positive, net income company or operating. They're losing like $800 million a quarter. Once they don't pay the drivers, that's where the money comes in, and then they start, ramping up daily average user data. Monetizing that, RPUs, becomes almost like an internet company. And on top of that, you're paying a fee for a service. So you have the services, you have the marketing, you have the services, they're physical, you have digital service. There's so many things that start coming up from that in terms of gaining information from the user within the ride, including where they like to go. Offering discounts and creating interest, wedges for can we get this person to go to our location, our business? Can we bid on that? What can we do? Offer them $10 off in the middle of their ride to go to one restaurant versus the other. Stuff like that. You just, live bidding. That's pretty cool. You just don't know what, there's so much manipulation in terms of these, the commerce side of AI. It's special, but one thing you do know, I know for certain, is there's going to be a large group of people that aren't going to have jobs, and they're going to have to depend on the government. But their initial predilection might have been, I don't like big government. But the reality situation is the private sector is not going to offer them the same opportunities as it used to. So they are primed for the picking to convert. And I think that's dangerous if you're, a libertarian or someone who has those type of views. You're like, Democrats are winning. Long term, they're winning, unquestionably. This sort of perception of democracy is a ruse. And perhaps the best version of the ruse is to give the illusion that it still exists even when it doesn't. And I think that might perpetuate for a little bit longer. One thing the Democratic People's Republic of China did was encourage national identity, and put in suppress diversity. And I think that the transition in this country might be pushing up diversity, and then it becomes the national identity, which is there's no such thing as diversity. That might be the next step after a large portion of our populace is converted into this new socialist ideal. Again, it sounds pseudo-intellectual in some degree, but it's so complicated. You can spend hours talking about it. It just scares me. The control over free market that's happening right now scares me. Just people living their normal lives. Even the social back and forth people have, as I mentioned before. Just like, having a life. I kind of feel like going to the driving range tonight and just hitting balls and just like watching the sunset and just like kind of taking stock of just like my breathing and like feeling like, I don't know, just feeling like centered. I do feel really constricted. I think we all should do that. Take stock for our lives and like kind of just remember that, just like be present more. Because there is this foreboding of just, if you have to wear a mask with your family to go anywhere together, it almost feels like you don't want to. You don't want to spend time with them out in public because it's so exhausting. You go, who wants to do that? It's not a break. That's not spending quality time with your kids. You can't even see them. They're wearing a fucking mask. They don't make the kids' mask covers the whole fucking face. You don't know. Are you Charlie or are you Sarah? You both have blonde hair. I can't tell because we cut it the same way to save money at Supercuts. Dude, that's like, take stock of your life. Go on some walks with your kids. Remind your loved one. If you're struggling with your monies right now because of the virus and your job, cutting hours, do something. Give them a present that's like made by hand. Kwanzaa that shit up. Give them do something extra special. That doesn't involve like a mercantile exchange. Take some time out and do something because there's this foreboding, I think, of like what's next. That a lot of people are feeling that maybe they're not talking about. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.